This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel, and we're going to have some fighting words. But before we go any further, as always, I need for you to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. So in this video, I want to talk about Mikey Garcia, who recently just had a loss. But it's not about that fight. I don't want to talk about that fight. I don't know, there were some weird things about that fight. This video is about Mikey Garcia and someone who's been trying to get a fight with Mikey Garcia, Regis Prograis. Regis still wants that fight, and I would love to see that fight. Regis Prograis versus Mikey Garcia, that's a banger. That's a good one. And I think Regis Prograis is the right opponent to do two things for Mikey Garcia. One, I think he could bring Mikey Garcia to another level because Regis Prograis just kind of has that style where you can't like get too lax with him, and you kind of have to deal with him live and direct. You can't like play with him. You know, he hits too hard. He's a very accurate puncher too. And he's always in your face. He's not the type of guy who's going to back up or kind of like, dance around and box or something like that. He's up in your face. But the other thing is, since Mikey Garcia just lost, having Regis Prograis on your resume is not a bad name to have. You know, I mean, his only loss is to the unified champ. So it's not a bad, and there are people who would argue that he won that fight. So it's not a bad name to have. And, you know, it's kind of coming at the right time since Mikey Garcia literally just lost. He just had a loss. And with Regis coming in saying, listen, let's make that fight happen now. Why not make it? Why not make it? Your stock could literally go back up overnight. Why not make that fight? I mean, there's a lot of risk involved. Regis Prograis is no slouch. Like I said, he hits hard. He's the type of guy who's always kind of in position because he never really oversteps or overreaches or anything. But I think he's also kind of tailor-made for Mikey Garcia. And what do I mean by that? Well, Mikey Garcia throws a lot of punches. Regis Prograis does not. Mikey Garcia is a boxer. You know, he's a boxer. Regis Prograis can box here and there. He boxes in spots, but he's not a 12-round boxer. He's not going to do that. And quite frankly, I don't think he can do it for 12 rounds. Mikey Garcia is a classical boxer. He can do it for 12 rounds. He can lead off. He can fight off a jab for 12 rounds. You know, and he can stay disciplined with that cadence for 12 rounds. Utilizes the ring well. And he has some pop in his punches, especially if he's, you know, they're going to fight at 140. He's got some pop in those punches. So I think that would be a great fight. You have a guy who's more of like a machine gun puncher like Mikey Garcia. Although we didn't see much of it in his last fight, you know, I don't know why, but we didn't see a whole lot of it. But I'm talking about the Mikey Garcia that fought Adrian Broner. That guy would be a handful for Regis Prograis. Because Regis Prograis is not the most active fighter in round by round. He's not. He picks his spots. He picks his spots. He picks his spots a lot. And sometimes he'll even sacrifice just to get in position. You know, so he's hittable. He's very hittable. And the way Regis operates, like how do I say this? He reminds me of Tank. So if Tank doesn't feel like you have a whole lot on your punches, he'll sit down on his even more because you don't have a lot on yours. So he's willing to he'll take 3 or 4 punches of yours just to get in position. Regis Prograis is the same way. He'll take a few shots just to get in position. He cannot afford to do that with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia throws a lot of punches. Mikey Garcia has pop in those punches. He's not just, those aren't, you know, he's got some impact in his punches. He's not just gonna like smack you around or anything like that, or just, you know, these filler jabs or anything like that. No, he's gonna turn that thing over, and that's the difference. Mikey Garcia is a good fighter, and yes, he's gotten, he just had a loss, but like I said, he's a good fighter. He's got a great trainer. He could definitely bounce back. I think this would be a great opportunity for him to bounce back. You know, and Regis Prograis is no slack either. I personally, of the two, I like Regis Prograis. I like his style a little bit more, because it is a little bit more action packed, and drama induced when he fights. But I can also see that somebody like Mikey Garcia would give him a lot of problems. Would give him a lot of problems, because Regis Prograis is the way he fights. It kind of like, I don't know. It kind of entices you to stand with him. He has this weird way of like his he doesn't have like a closed knit guard. Like he does everything to entice you to say, stand here and hit me because I'm open. Stand here and hit me. Now I think Mikey Garcia has the speed to take advantage of that. Uh, I don't think Mikey Garcia definitely has the speed to take advantage of that. He has the speed. He throws more punches. He does have pop. He doesn't have the same amount of pop as Regis Prograis, but he has pop in his punches. He can get your respect. It would be an awesome fight. It would just be an awesome fight. I don't know what the mind frame of Mikey is right now. Maybe he's just thinking, listen, I just want a belt. And if that's the case, I don't see too many people lining up to fight Regis Prograis right now. But then again, with another loss under his belt, I don't foresee too many people running up to fight him either. Because now his name isn't what it once was. But you fight Regis Prograis, you beat Regis Prograis, and you beat him impressively. Oh, you're back in the mix. You're definitely back in the mix. So I think it's an amazing fight, but I also think it sets Mikey back up. There was a time Mikey Garcia was going to fight Manny Pacquiao, and that's a pretty big deal. Um, and to be honest with you, his losses. I mean, this last one was. I just don't know what to think about that. It's one thing you get beat by Earl Spence, who's a lot bigger than you, but to get. I'm not going to touch that fight. I keep edging over there, but I'm not going to touch that fight because I was disappointed with that fight. I don't feel like, I just don't feel like his heart was in it. And with Regis Prograis, you have to be 100% in the fight. You have to be 100% in the fight. If you're not going to be 100%, do not show up. He's not the guy where you slouch with. He's not the guy where you get a little too relaxed with. He's not the guy where you overstep with, because Regis Prograis is not the fastest fighter in the world, but his reflexes are pretty good. His reflexes are on the money, and when you have great reflexes, you don't necessarily have to be the fastest guy in the world. If your timing is on point, and Regis Prograis has great timing. He has great timing. And another thing about Regis Prograis is he doesn't have to cock the punch. He doesn't have to, he doesn't have to do that setback. He can just fire it from wherever he's at and still have pop on that punch. If his arm is out here and he just turns it over, he will still have pop on the punch. And that's important. If they were to, if they are to fight, I don't know at this point. It is just talks. I know Regis reached out to Mikey. I believe Mikey should take it, especially if he wants to really stay in the mix. You can't claw your way back, fighting nobodies or like you can't go fight number 15 or number 12 and then be like, yo, I'm ready to jump back in the water. No, fight that guy. Fight that guy because everybody respects Regis. A lot of guys would be like, Regis Prograis. They'll say whatever they want to say. Like Adrian Broner, when he was, the name popped up for him and he's like, Regis Prograis. Yeah, you can say whatever you want, but you're not jumping in the water with him. So you can say whatever you want. Like you can say whatever you want, but get in there with him. Get in there with him. He's always in shape. He's always training. Get in there with him and see what happens. So I think that's a great fight. I honestly think it's a great fight to keep Mikey Garcia and his name in the mix. And quite frankly, I think his name kind of skyrockets up a few notches if he were to beat Regis Prograis, and I mean impressively. Say if he were to knock out Regis Prograis, that would be huge. Now the question is, does it go both ways? Well, Mikey just lost, so I don't know if it goes both ways. Like, what exactly does it do for Regis Prograis? I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to have Mikey Garcia on your resume, but you're going to get Mikey Garcia after a loss. So I'm not really sure what it does for Regis, other than keep his name in the mix and other than get him a nice little payday because it's Mikey Garcia. I'm not sure where he'll stand with the elite of the division if he fights Mikey Garcia. Now, if he knocks out Mikey Garcia, that's a big deal. That's a different story. That's a big deal because Earl Spence couldn't knock out Mikey Garcia. Now, I know Earl said, he wasn't trying to knock out Mikey. He basically wanted to do to Mikey what Mikey does to everybody else, which is, overflow with the punches and just drown him out with punches and just rough him up and beat him up. But you can say whatever you want. If you're hitting somebody and you're hitting somebody that much, you are putting some pop and some sting on those punches, and you couldn't get Mikey out of there. Now, if Regis Prograis gets into the ring with Mikey Garcia and he knocks him out, oh, that's a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. Now we're talking. Now people need to pay attention, and now somebody, in terms of promotion, needs to make something happen because he just knocked out Mikey Garcia. That's a big deal. But honestly, that goes both ways. That goes both ways. Neither one of them have been knocked out. Neither one of them have lost to, a TKO or something like that. So that's a big deal. If you knock him out, and that's vice versa, either one of these guys gets knocked out, the promoter needs to be like, hey, we need to talk. We need to make this guy, a headliner for another fight. So that's what I have, and I hope that I have more to basically just, let you know about in terms of this fight. Hopefully it will come into fruition. And like what I said, I don't see any reason why Mikey would not jump at the opportunity, because how many names like this are you going to get if losing to the caliber guy you just lost to? No disrespect to the guy, but to be honest with you, I feel like Mikey Garcia is a better boxer, and he should have won. But those are my thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. As always, drop a comment down below. And again, please like and subscribe.